Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Ellie. I make videos about traveling, student life in your 20s, med school, that sort of thing. Last year I did a master's degree in London, and this video is going to be all about my experience doing that, what it's like to be a postgrad student in London, especially maybe from an international perspective, what my degree was like in particular, and things about the London student lifestyle that you might not be able to read up online. I hope that this video is helpful if you're considering doing a post-grad degree anywhere, but especially in the city of London. If you also have done a master's degree in London, comment down below where you did your degree. I'd be curious to see. And without further ado, let's get on to the video. So my degree in London was an MSc in clinical neuroscience at UCL, so University College London. In London, there are many universities. Some of the more well-known ones are UCL, Imperial, King's College London, Queen Mary, Goldsmiths. Those are like the ones that I can think of off the top of my head, but there's just so many universities, so there's probably the subject that you want to study. I think I'm gonna make a whole separate video about neuroscience master's degrees and what they're like and what your options are, particularly within London and the EU. But for today, I thought I'd focus on the London student experience. The first point I thought I'd cover is tuition fees. So you might know going to school in the UK can be kind of pricey, at least compared to most EU countries, not compared to the US, obviously. In general, postgrad degrees have a different fee category than undergrad degrees in the UK, so each university makes their own tuition fee price, basically. For non-UK citizens, the tuition fees are much higher, and since Brexit happened, EU people are considered non-UK, so you can't get the in-state kind of tuition fees, so you pay the international fees, which can be quite high. There are some scholarships available, mainly for people that have the need for financial aid, but there are a couple academic scholarships as well. I actually received an academic scholarship that paid for part of my tuition, which was really great, so I recommend applying for all the scholarships that you can. I read one time a statistic about how many scholarships sort of go unused or are very easy to actually get if you apply, because nobody else really applies for them because people think, oh, I'll never get it, and they don't bother. So yeah, always put in the effort there if you want the money. Once you've got your tuition paid, another thing to consider is living costs. So living in London is kind of notoriously expensive, and I want to make a video breaking down what I spent in a week as a student in London. If you're interested in that video, leave like the $ or some sort of money related emoji, or just a comment down below so I can gauge who would be interested in this information. So for now, I'll just quickly sum up. I think in terms of rent in London, you can expect to pay between about £700 and £1,200 for a month for a shared living situation. It also very much depends where you live. I think most people I know paid around £900 per month. I paid around £700 per month for a 4-bedroom apartment in which I had one room in Zone 1, but it was ex-council housing, which makes it cheaper. London is segregated into zones from like in to outwards, and the closer in you live, the more central, the lower your zone number is and the higher your rent is likely to be. So Zone 1 is very much central London, hence rent prices tend to be higher. Finding an apartment is kind of a hassle and a half. I think the best approach is Facebook Marketplace. Like Facebooks are not just Facebook groups in general. There's like Student Flat London Finder, UCL Student Flat Finder, that sort of thing. So definitely join all of the Facebook groups that you can if you're an international student. I also would say that a lot of people go via sites like, I can't remember what it's called, it's like Room Hub or something like that, but you have to be quite quick there because once some offer is made, the rooms disappear really quickly. Also keep in mind that a lot of people are scammed on these sort of websites, so it's worth it to be super vigilant here. And another thing to keep in mind is that the landlords will expect international kids to pay the entire year's rent up front instead of in regular installments like UK nationals get to. So keep in mind that you either have to have the financial situation where you can pay all of their rent up front, or like find a UK guarantor, which is this whole situation that you probably know about if you've looked at housing yet. maybe another housing videos is worth making. I'll think about that in the future. So yeah, once you've paid your rent, other daily costs are public transportation in London. I've made a video on that. If you're interested in public transport hacks, you can check that out. I'll put the card somewhere around here. In addition to public transport, you obviously have to pay for groceries. Groceries in central London are really pricey, to be honest, although there's also lots of really fun grocery stores and ethnic grocery stores and little markets that you can buy food at. So the food options are incredible, but price-wise, still relatively pricey. Other than that, London is a super fun city, and the first thing that you'll hear when people talk about London is, oh my god, there's so much to do, and this is so true. Hence, you will be spending money on doing those fun things like going to concerts and seeing ballets and theater shows and going out for drinks at the pub. So yeah, there's lots of fun things to spend money on in London, and it does sort of rack up, but I also have to say that there are a lot of student deals, so keep your eyes out for those. And if you're buying something in a shop, it's generally always smart to say like, hey, is there a student discount? Because often there is and they won't advertise it. Another cost that you will probably incur as an international student in London is a visa. So visas cost different amounts depending on where you're coming from and what sort of visa you get. As an EU national entering London as a student, I got a graduate student visa, which cost around 300 or 400 pounds if I remember correctly. So it's quite a pricey visa, to be honest, and it was only valid for 1 year, and it also takes like a while to get, and it's a little bit of a hassle, so keep that in mind. Also in terms of like the time planning if you're entering the country on a visa. So if we move on from like the costs of living in London, I also wanted to talk about the lifestyle a little bit. So to me, the lifestyle in London is quite different from other student cities since it's a huge like metropolis, really. And is that a word? And depending on where you live, I think your experience in London will be quite different. So it's worth really checking out your neighborhood that you're going to live in if you have some wiggle room as to which neighborhood you're going to live in, so you can kind of pick and choose what the atmosphere is going to be like for you. Traveling within London is made relatively easy by all the public transport options, but it still can take a long time to get from A to B, so you will probably end up spending at least some significant amount of time in the borough, they call it, I think, that you live in. I think because of the long travel times, it's really worth trying to get an apartment near where your school is if you're going to be a student, since that will save you not only a lot of time but also a lot of money in travel costs back and forth. I lived walking distance to my campus, and that was honestly such a relief. It made it so much easier, hassle-free to like do school and life at the same time. Other than your school, I think, yeah, London is just this insanely cultural city in my experience. There's so much culture going on there in terms of like museums and shows and things, and a lot of it is like cheap or free as well as a student. So I went to museums all the time while I lived there, and I had Barclays Dance Pass, which is like a ticket that you can get for free as an under 25-year-old, and then you can go to a lot of ballets for just £10, which is very cheap for a ballet ticket, and even get like amazing seats sometimes for that price. So I spent a lot of time doing cultural activities. I also joined a lot of uni society events, which I think is especially popular for undergraduate students, but postgrad students are usually allowed to join whatever they want as well. I guess it probably depends on your university, but at UCL you can join kind of whatever events you want and even be part of like the committees. So I was pretty active in the dance committees. I went to dance classes with the dance society, which were really cheap as a UCL student. I can't remember how much it was, but it was like you pay like a yearly fee and then you can go to any class you want. It was something like that. And it was so much cheaper than paying for the studio classes in London, which I did too because they were fun as well, but you know, you mix and match. Another thing to mention about London is how international it is. So you really do notice how, even though many people are British, many people are from other places as well. Another thing about being a student in London is like the facilities of your university, which can have quite a bit of impact on your study lifestyle. UCL, for example, has a lot of like student facilities, which I really enjoyed as a student there. So they have like this really cool old library, and they also have a bunch of other newer libraries. So there's a lot of places to hang out as a student. Like the UCL Student Center was particularly great in my opinion. It's just like giant building that's open 24/7 and you can like eat there, you can study there, hang out there. They have a really nice like deck with a beautiful view. It's like a cool hub because if you're friends with people that also go to UCL, you can just like hang out there during the day between classes. The going out lifestyle in London is honestly not something that I really explored in that much depth. I'm not really a going out person, so I'm not the best person to speak to this, but the part of it that I did do is of course the pubbing, is that a word? Pub lifestyle. I went to like so many pubs. Pints are huge I mean a pint is just a measurement, but like they're huge in the UK, so like the drinking culture took some getting used to, and it was really fun. And I think even if you don't drink alcohol, you can just get like non-alcoholic things. I think like the pub lifestyle is definitely something to like try out while you're in London. Another thing about being a student in London is that it means that you can travel within the UK relatively easily, so I highly recommend doing this while you're there. I didn't take advantage of this enough, unfortunately. I think like some places that I would have liked to have gone that I didn't make it to are the Peak District, the Lake District, Wales, some of the other like coastal areas south of London. I did go to Cornwall, which was really beautiful. Highly recommend that. I also took a weekend trip to Dublin, Ireland, which is a very cheap Ryanair flight away sometimes. So I hope this was like a little fun intro into student life in London at postgrad level. If you want to see more of the video ideas that I've mentioned here, please comment down below and like this video and subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot and helps me make more videos. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you're having a great day, whoever you are, wherever you are. Bye!